Hello everyone, I'm really sorry I can't be at the Heartbeat AGM, but I do really genuinely, in a heartfelt way, send you all my very best wishes for the work that you do, because it's really been brought home to me in the last, 6 months or so since I first discovered that I was a heart patient, how important it is. And it's not just the business of doing the medical stuff, it's all the wider things, the network of support that we need to get in place. And that's something you do, and you do on a voluntary basis. And you know, I enormously respect that, and I wish you all the best. I was sitting at home, I can remember it really well, of course, sitting at home at the computer. It was in the afternoon, no stress. I was actually talking to someone in America about a book that I've written. So it was a very pleasant conversation, and I had to go and pick the kids up from school in an hour or so, so I wasn't particularly worried about that. And I suddenly had this sort of feeling around my chest that I thought I'd pulled a muscle or something. I actually kind of got up and thought, goodness, I'm obviously getting to the age where you can just pull a muscle by accident sitting at your computer. And actually, I mean, that was it, to be perfectly honest. It was no more than that. I was then quite worried about it, so I Googled heart attack, and all the symptoms that come up when you Google heart attack, or quite a few of them, felt like mine. So that worried me. And then I was thinking, what do I do? It's like a film, this. Can't it just be over? And I remember I got in the car and I went and picked the kids up from school, because that's what I had to do. And I can remember saying to my son, who said, are you going to do something with me in the evening? I remember saying to him, no, actually, I don't feel that well, I might not be able to do it tonight. And kind of admitting to myself then, to the first time, that there was something amiss. And I rang my wife and I told her, and she just said, go to hospital, as sensible wives do. And so I did. In the end, I walked. We live very near King's College Hospital, great hospital in London. And I walked in and said, these are my symptoms. And I spent the whole night there. And interestingly, I mean, this is the thing, the big warning, I think, we've got to get out to people. I left hospital the next morning with pretty much an all clear, actually. I mean, they said, come and be followed up, but they said that we can't find anything that's happened to you. I get the letter, that letter that it's so easy to ignore. This is your appointment for follow-up. If you don't want to come, then ring this number and we'll take you off our list. And I happened to be standing watching my son play rugby, and a friend of mine who's a cardiologist came up and said, how are you feeling? Because I heard you had some chest pain. And I said, no, it's all fine now. I don't know what it was, but I was given the all clear. And he said to me, and I can remember him looking at me very gravely and saying, you absolutely must take it further. If you get the letter from the hospital now, he said, go in and do whatever the extra tests are that they suggest. And I did all the tests, and actually I thought that I'd done rather well. I was quite pleased with myself. I ran on the treadmill, and you know, there was nothing, and they listened to my heart and all the rest of it, and couldn't hear anything wrong. And I was getting ready to go, and the cardiologist there said, can I just see you before you go? And I went in to see him, and he said, look, there's something. He showed me the ECG, there was something wrong, very plainly wrong. And he said, you're going to have it looked at, and I recommend that you have an angiogram and possibly angioplasty, which is what I ended up doing quite soon afterwards. You're awake throughout, and you see what's going on, and you can look at it, and the person who did the operation said to me, look at that artery, which is almost completely blocked. He said, if that artery became blocked and you weren't in hospital, you would probably die, because you'd have had a heart attack that wouldn't have been survivable. So that chest pain, actually, I realized then, it could have killed me. And so the thing that was shocking for me, to be honest, wasn't so much the actual procedure, which is, as I say, it's unpleasant, but it's not awful. But it's that realization there, as I lay on the table looking at the screen, that actually that could have been the end of me. We're all damaged by Hollywood. You know, it's this thing of the heart attack and you keel over. It's not like that. or it needn't be like that. And you know, when you look it up, when I Googled heart attack to see whether I had these symptoms, I realised quite quickly actually that the kind of symptoms that could be a heart attack or could be just an attack of angina can be quite similar, and the heart attack needn't be this kind of dramatic thing where you actually fall over. So I think the problem is that a lot of people get this pain and don't know, as I didn't know actually, how seriously to treat it. But the thing that really impressed me is that when you go into hospital or you talk to anyone who's got any knowledge of hearts and you say, I've got this chest pain, there's no question of them thinking you're wasting their time. They want to look into it. They want to make sure that it can be dismissed as wind or whatever else. You know, they want to do that work, and it is always, always, always worth, if you've got that kind of pain and it persists for a little bit, in taking it seriously. I mean, that's the obvious message. And what you're going to save yourself in terms of distress, and potentially the medical profession too in terms of effort, is huge. That's why you should do it. There's no doubt that you are affected emotionally, and partly because you are suddenly coming face to face with your own mortality in a really kind of deep-seated way. There's something about the heart, I think, that particularly you realise when that's going wrong that it could be curtains for you. But also in a more general sense, you're just ill, and you're ill with something that is potentially quite serious. And I think that, you know, we would be wrong to discount the emotional impact of it. And it affects your confidence in the sense that every time you get the tiniest little pain, you think, oh, hang on a second, is it going wrong again? Is something happening to me? Judging by the sight of the arteries when I was undergoing the angioplasty, it looked as if there'd been further movement of the plaque inside that artery, that it would have blocked it in a way that would have made it very difficult to survive. And if I'd been out on the streets, or just going about my ordinary business, and I'd been not got to a hospital very quickly, then yeah, I would have died. And the advice to me was that I should lose some weight, and also that I should look at things that would reduce cholesterol. And you know, what's wrong with that? I mean, it's perfectly good advice, and advice, frankly, I probably should have taken many years ago. But I think that's the whole point of this, isn't it? That we have it in our powers, not necessarily to stop ourselves going down a route, but to prevent, you know, to reduce the chances of us going down that route, and we should use it. Heartbeat's work so important, all the work that goes on to kind of get everyone together and to save lives and stop the kind of awful damage that it can do. The key to the whole thing is testing, isn't it? And you know, and Heartbeat and other charities have this facility to bring to people the knowledge that they need about their hearts early on by providing. And it's not a horrible test that involves sort of hours and hours of time and intrusive, invasive stuff. It's actually quite fun. Go and run on a machine, get hooked up to it. I mean, there's nothing unpleasant about it. And the ability of Heartbeat to bring that to people is just hugely important, because it does mean that people potentially have the chance to discover the kind of thing that I had. And if I'd done it, and if I'd known about Heartbeat and I'd been in the Northwest and popped in, I would have discovered before having that chest pain that there was something wrong. And potentially, I mean, in the end it turned out okay for me, but potentially that could save a life.